The next steps toward finishing the baskets is called cutting and tucking, because we're going to cut every other spoke, and as you can see when I push this down there on the inside of that row, this is considered an outside spoke because it's on the outside of the last row. We want a nice flush cut here, and we want a nice neat tuck over the outside, because when you put the rim on, you don't want this to stick up. If you turn this basket to the left, well, I turned it to the right, but with the opening to the left, you're going to have much better luck and better leverage to get these cut off flush. I'm going to turn this toward me a little bit because I'm going to be cutting like this. It's harder to cut like this unless I was standing up and on that side of it. But because I'm here, right here with it, actually if I just move the basket, but then that really messes with the camera. Anyway, that's about right. So I'm going to take my nice sharp shears and extend them to about the middle. And then I'm going to snip and turn. Be careful not to get these fingers too close because you can cut your fingertips, and that's not pleasant at all. So we just throw that away. The next thing is going to be to turn these down and tuck them in. Well, they're kind of dry now, so I'm going to spritz them with a little bit of water. There's no need to keep re-wetting your basket in the bucket of water because, as you may remember in an earlier lesson, I talked about how the reed swells. So I'm going to turn the first one over on the outside, and you can see how I get it right on top of that last row. This is why it's kind of nice to use the flat oval if you have it on the top, because it is a little bit thicker and it will give this a nicer place where it will lay. So I'm going to turn this to the inside of the basket. It might be kind of hard to see because of the shadows, but this is going to tuck into this row right here. So I'm going to turn it over, and then using my pencil, I'm going to line up the pencil lead with the bottom of that row and make a little mark. I'm going to cut it at that mark. Now I'm going to double check it and make sure that it's the right length. And that's just about where I want it. Then I'm going to make a new pattern piece using a scrap from what I just cut off. I'm going to put it right on top of this half-inch row, and then I'm going to line this up and cut that off. So now I have my pattern piece to cut these. So I just go around and lay this here and cut and cut. I wish there were an easier way to do this because it's a little bit tedious for me. The bigger baskets, when you do this, you might have 25 or 30 of these to cut off, so it goes a lot faster. If I have any inside, I'm just going to dump them out and get them out of my way. So now we have these all the right length to tuck. So I like to do the same thing to every spoke instead of doing things one at a time. That's why I cut them all. Now I'm going to bend them over. And I just go around, and I heard a tiny little bit of cracking, but that doesn't matter. It's just like when you do the bottom, because this is not the last step. This is all going to be covered up. With my flat tip tool, I'm going to use this to help get into the inside to tuck this. So I have my finger on the inside and I'm bending it over my finger to break down the fibers. Then I'm going to rest the basket on the table, and if it slides, if you have a slippery table, you can put a towel on the top. I'm going to be putting this tool in here and then pulling out. It's like a lever. So I'm going to pull that out, and then I'm just going to shove that down in there. That's the one that got cut, so you have to be careful that you make sure those are still lined up. And that's good. I always tell students to do this toward your, have it toward yourself. Don't try to do it this way because that's really unnatural on your wrist and it can really hurt. Some people like to lay it flat on the table like this. I don't know if you can see that or not.
We're trying.
Edie is a master at the camera, and it would be hard to do without really knowing what the needs are. So,
in other words, it's teamwork.
Okay, so I'm almost finished getting these in. And
I'll be honest, I remember this to be one of my favorite parts.
okay, so that's the end of this segment, and we'll start in putting the finishing rim on with the next.